Welcome back to the podcast. Today, I want to talk about something that happens to everyone in dating, no matter how confident or how experienced you are. It happens to the best of us. And I'm talking, of course, about awkward moments. I've had quite a few of those. You probably had quite a few of those. And I guarantee you, there will be more in the future. You know what I'm talking about, those pauses that last too long, jokes that fall flat, comments that come out wrong and your mind goes, oh no, that was awkward. What do I do now? Now, the first rule is you don't panic and you don't treat it like a big deal because it really isn't. Let me say this clearly. Let me make this very clear. Awkward moments are completely normal. I don't think I've ever been on a date where there wasn't at least a slightly awkward moment. Awkward moments are not a sign that the date is ruined. They are not a sign that you suck at dating. They are part of the game. It's basically just, two people being slightly nervous in a situation that, you know, kind of matters. So it's just your nervousness acting out, it's your nervousness showing. That's what it is. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, the real issue isn't the awkward moment itself, but it is how you react to it or how she reacts to it. Let's go over some examples to help you navigate these moments. And the first one would be the silence. You're sitting there, you're talking for a while, and suddenly there's a pause. And no one speaks for a few seconds, but in your head it feels like a minute, 2 minutes. And what does your instinct tell you to do? Well, you need to panic. You need to fill in that space immediately. So what do? We blurt out the first thing that comes to mind, even if it's pointless. And I'm guilty of that. I've said a lot of pointless shit in those moments. It happens to the best of us. But here's the thing, a silence is not a problem. It's not dangerous. It's not something that you need to handle straight away. Now, it is something different if you are on a date and there is more silence than there is conversation going on. So, if there is a silence, if that happens, you can just take a sip of your drink, smile, and let the moment just be the moment. If you do that, then that calm reaction actually feels grounded. It pulls you into the moment. It feels, confident, or at least it shows that you're confident. And often, your date, she will be relieved that you didn't freak out. Because guess what? You are both feeling the same tension. She's part of the conversation. So if there is a silence, she's feeling that too. And she's looking at you to handle the situation. So you shouldn't panic. In that moment, you can just think of something that you would like to ask her or something that you want to say. Now, another really common example is a joke that doesn't land. And yeah, I've had quite a few of those as well. You say something that you think is playful, but it comes off as being quite dirty, or you say something that, you think is funny, but it is actually quite offensive. And usually those are the best jokes, am I right? And what happens is she just smiles politely, not being very amused, or she doesn't really react much at all. Now, what does your brain do? Well, it starts screaming at you, abort mission, you messed up. Now, what most guys do next is we make it worse. What do? We explain the joke. We explain the joke to her as to why it was really funny. Or we apologize too much and we try to explain why it wasn't really offensive. Or we just keep talking, start talking and keep talking to just escape the discomfort and just, try to rewrite the joke like the joke never happened. Just erase it by talking. Now that just shines a spotlight on all the awkwardness. Instead, the best move is something really simple. You just smile and you say something like, okay, yeah, I guess that was pretty offensive. Or, okay, that one didn't work. Yeah, I get it. That wasn't really that funny. and then move on. That kind of self awareness is actually really attractive to women because it shows you got the balls to actually try to make a joke with the risk of it being, not funny. It shows that you're comfortable enough to be not perfect. Here's another scenario for you. You say something that comes out clumsier than you intended. Maybe you are talking about dating and you phrase something in a way that sounds really harsh or more intense than you meant. And you see that shift in her expression, and immediately you think, oh no, what did I say? I've had that happen to me like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks ago. I was on a date and we were talking about, male and female roles in a relationship. And I said something that I stand by, but the way I said it, it came out much harsher than I intended. And I could just see the look on her face like, are you serious right now? And then in my head, I was like, oh, whoa, 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 I get it. That came out a little bit wrong. I need to rephrase that. Now, this is where guys either freeze, they don't know what to do, or they overcorrect. You know, they go like, no, no, that's not what I meant. I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. No, you should be calm. And the calm response is to own it lightly. You can just say something like, yeah, that sounded better in my head. Or the magical sentence that I always use, let me rephrase that. Because that instantly resets the moment. You are showing awareness without turning it into a big emotional moment. That's what I do. I say something and I see your face go like, oh no, are you serious? And I go, let me rephrase that. Now, in the moment that you say, let me rephrase that, in that moment and after that moment, you should have a moment of silence where you actually rethink what you said and think about how you want to say it. Because every now and again in a conversation, we're talking and we just say things that pop up into our head without really, thinking about how we're saying it or, and then we can say some pretty dumb shit. So let me rephrase that is the magical sentence. When you say it, you think about what you said or what you want to say, and then you say it the right way. That's how you do it. And let's talk about one that most of us really hate, and that is the awkward goodbye. And oh my God, I've had a lot of those. I think most of the dates, even the good ones, even the great ones, they end with an awkward goodbye. Or at least it starts off awkward. You know what I'm talking about. You stand up, you walk outside, there's a pause, and neither of you is sure what to do next. And in some cases, the both of you are exactly sure of what to do next or what needs to happen next, but you don't really know how to get to that moment, to that point. This moment feels loaded because it feels like you need to decide on the whole date, on the whole future of the two of you. Now, here's the truth. Awkward goodbyes, they are extremely common. Like I said, even after the good dates, even after the great ones. And the worst thing that you can do is to rush away or act uncomfortable. A better move is to slow down slightly, maintain some eye contact, smile, and say something. Say something along the lines of, hey, I enjoyed tonight. I really enjoyed your company. Thank you for, going on a date with me. Something very simple. That alone brings warmth back into that moment. Now, also notice something important. In all these examples, the fix is never rushing. The fix is never over explaining or performing. The fix is to stay present, to address the present. Awkwardness is almost always shared. You're not the only one who's feeling that moment. So when you stay calm, you're silently telling her, hey, it's okay. We're fine. We're going to be fine. That's what actually diffuses the tension. And another key thing to understand is that the awkward moments don't erase the rest of the date. One weird pause doesn't cancel an hour of good conversation. One missed joke doesn't undo genuine connection. People who leave dates thinking it was awkward are usually just reacting to their own internal panic, not the actual experience. So, in fact, awkward moments can sometimes help you. They break script. That's what they do. Because they are, not scripted. They're not part of your plan because nobody wants to put awkwardness into, their grand master plan. So they make the interaction feel real instead of super polished. And when you handle them calmly, they show your emotional steadiness. And that is far more attractive than being smooth all the time. When you know how to handle the awkwardness, when you know how to handle, your fuck ups, if you will, that is attractive. So the next time something awkward happens, remember this. Nothing is wrong. Nothing is going wrong. The date isn't ruined. You don't suck. You both feel it. You don't need to fix the moment. You just need to stay in the moment without panicking. Dating isn't about being flawless, it's about being steady when things aren't. And that's what we need to do as men. We stay steady. We're like a rock. We don't budge. We're cool. And that steadiness is what women remember long after the moment passes. I guarantee it. So do that. Don't panic. Stay in the moment. Thank you for listening. I hope it was helpful, and I'll talk to you in the next episode. Bye bye.